Hi, my name is Darren Moore, and I am Group Commercial Director at Tax Assist Accountants. And I just want to record a quick message talking about our views on COVID-19 and the response so far. So, a bit of background: we are a franchise business. We're a network of 370 offices, and our franchisees between them look after about 76,000 clients. So, we've got some great feedback on exactly what's happening out there. And we do recognise the challenges that the current situation creates for the government, and they have tried to respond quickly, and they have tried to put in place measures to help the many millions of people out there that need support. But we have had some feedback, and we feel there are a few areas that are really quite lacking and need some more attention from the government urgently. So I just wanted to quickly talk through those and explain that we've written a letter to the Chancellor just to set out these views. So the things we think need addressing. Start with small companies. Small companies are the backbone of our economy. Millions and millions of small companies out there. And the majority of those small companies are sole directors or a small number of directors. Now, the job retention scheme that's been introduced is a good scheme, and it was put in place relatively quickly. We're still waiting for detail, of course. But the challenge with the scheme is really how it works for small companies. Typically, those small companies are controlled by directors and largely run by directors. The concept of furloughing, which is a new one really, which is brought in by the scheme, talks about effectively not working for a company to be furloughed. Now, if you're an employee that's furloughed, that's achievable. If you're a director, stepping away completely from a company and hibernating it is actually very difficult to do, because practically you want to stay in touch with your contacts and your clients and your suppliers, because that's what you need to do to even just hibernate your business. So we're worried about the practicality of that. And we're worried about the financial return that directors can get. Their financial return is based on their PAYE figures, so what they've paid themselves as salary. Now, typically, small company directors pay a small salary, and the rest of their income is derived from dividends that are paid out of distributable profits. So in reality, those directors are only going to be able to take out a very small amount from the scheme, even if they are eligible. That's a difficult one. It's really hard for those directors, and the danger is that they find themselves in real hardship personally and for their families. So we're really concerned for those small companies and their directors. The second group that we think is really suffering are the self-employed. Now, again, there's a scheme in place that's been introduced by the government with no detail that talks about how they will be supported in terms of income. So a similar process for claiming, but there are gaps again. So if you are a fairly newly established entity or trading individual or business, and you've started since the 5th of April 2019, unfortunately, under the rules, there is no way you can claim. Now, we think that's really unfair. We understand the challenges for HMRC. There'll be no filing history, there'll be no numbers they can corroborate against, but those businesses are established, many thousands, hundreds of thousands of them since that date. A lot of them will be profitable. A lot of those individuals, all of those individuals really will need support in some way, shape or form. And at the moment, the rules don't give them a route to get funding. And again, those people are going to be suffering hardship, and they end up going through the universal credit benefit system or other similar systems. So again, quite difficult for them. Similarly, in that group of self-employed, there are lots of established individuals who have been trading for some time, and their profitability could be over 50,000. Now, 50,000 is a very relevant level because that's the cap that's been set by HMRC in the proposed rules. There are lots of individuals obviously over that level, and the assumption seems to be they'll be fine and they will get through it because they're profitable. We don't think that's particularly fair either. We think the idea of a cap is sensible in that there's a maximum level of funding that people can obtain, but the idea of almost a cliff edge system where people just get nothing at all just seems wholly unfair to us. You can't assume those people will get through this safely for them and their families. So in both the company arena and the self-employed arena, and we have got tens of thousands of clients in both, we're really concerned that there are huge swathes that are just being missed at the moment. And the third concern we have is around speed of funding. The schemes will take time to establish. They're complicated schemes. We understand that, and it will take time for legislation to be produced. But people can only wait so long. There's talk about self-employed being paid towards the end of June. People are being signposted to a universal credit system in the meantime, which is really under stress. 1 million applicants in the last 2 weeks. but we're worried about what that means for those individuals. We have seen other economies across the globe introduce emergency funding to help people in the short term, and we think that's a sensible option, at least as a stopgap until these schemes are up and running. So in summary, really, we feel more work needs to be done. We recognise the challenge, as I say, and we know that efforts are being made to do this, but there are real gaps, and we're not talking small numbers. We're talking potentially up to 2 million individuals or businesses caught by this, we've seen in statistics. That's a huge part of that small business and self-employed market, and they do underpin everything this country does, whether it's direct employment, indirect employment, supply chain. We do all rely on them. So we would urge the Chancellor and the government to look at this again. We know that the Chancellor said that no one will be left behind, but our fear is that they are, and that we are seeing people who will miss out and who will suffer. So we'd like to see some action as soon as possible. We need these people engaged with us over the longer term. We will all come out of this, hopefully before too long. When we do come out of it, we will need these businesses and these individuals really working for us, because that recovery will rely on them. So please, Chancellor, please, government, if you are listening to this, do listen to these words and do take action if you can. We look forward to hearing announcements over the coming days and weeks. Thank you.